We'll start. Each one has a sheet. Rabbi say it's very nogea l'maisa this question. I don't know if we ever spoke about it before. This week's parsha is about machlokes. So Rabbi say, there's an interesting outlook here. Let me ask you a question. A Talmid Chacham who knows Shas and Poskim, but let's say Chas v'Shalom, he's a little bit of a Bal Gaiva. Is that a reason not to respect him? What would you say? Like, do you stand up for him? If he knows Shas and Poskim and he comes into the room, but he's known, unfortunately, he's a shtickle Bal Gaiva. He is a Talmid Chacham. Right?
So do you classify that as a Yedei Seifa? It's like asking someone a Talmid Chacham, if it's an Emes-Dicker Talmid Chacham.
An Emes-Dicker.
Where there's an implementation of Torah and the Midas, so someone who has a Megiyas, can he be classified as a Talmid Chacham?
Yeah, you know what? Not so much. Would you stand up for him when he comes into the room? Yes or no? So I can tell you, boy, say for sure, yes. He's imperfect. Okay. Hopefully he'll work at it one day and it'll become perfect. Not everybody's a Chavetz Chaim. If a Talmid Chacham is a Baal Kas, he has an anger issue. So does that mean that you shouldn't stand up for him? I promise you there's no such halacha. Of course you should. What happens if a Talmid Chacham is a Baal Machlokes? Here, you don't stand up for him. I'm going to show it to you. And the question is, why is Baal Machlokes different than Baal Gaiva? Or Baal Kas? Or other Shlechte Meisim? Does everybody have a sheet? Why? So let's share. Come on, Baruch. Okay. Baruch, so sit next to that, Baruch. I deal with teenagers. You know, that's a good point. Okay, you're right. That's a good point. Well, boy said, let's look at a fascinating Gemara in Baksa Aleph. Look what happened there. It's a Meferish Gemara. Rav Huna and Rav Chizda v'Yatvi. Rav Huna and Rav Chizda were sitting. Azil Gneva Alayu. Gneva is another Amora. Not such a Geshmaka name, but he's an Amora. He's called Gneva. He's brought them many times in Shas. Omar Chad Lechavre. One Talmid Chacham said to the other, meaning Rav Huna to Rav Chizda. Doesn't say who to whom. Neko Mikmei. Let's stand up for him. He's going back. The Bar Omyanu. He's a Talmid Chacham. Omar Leida. So the other answered back. Mikmei Palga. Says Rashi, Baal Meriva Choylek Al Chachamim Shehem Etzaro Lemar Ukva. There was a specific story there. Neko Bitmiya. We're gonna stand up in front of someone who's about machlokes? No, we're not. So look at what the Rishonim say on this Gemara and Bak's bet. Loshen Riaz, that's the Shilti Giborim. Talmid Chacham she'ubal merivois v'ser machlokes b'nei Adam eino ra'ui la'amod mipanav. A Talmid Chacham that falls out again. If he has an argument here and there, we're not talking. No, but he's known as a Baal Machlokes, a Baal Merivois. You don't stand up for him. The Tashbot says, "Im hachacham u'Baal Machlokes ein ra'ui lekovet klav." Kedamrim upon kol aged. He quotes the Gemara that we just now saw. So you see that if it's a Baal Machlokes, he's not called a Talmid Chacham. Now, what's the p'tur? Let's try to understand what we say. The mitzvah to stand up in front of a real Talmid Chacham, is that the Raisa, the Rabbanan, or just being polite? It's the Raisa Mamash. How do you know? Okay, let's give a look. Rabbi said, give a look. You're 100% right. There's a story there with Marukva. We're not going to go into now. No, Shayamitzar. It's the Shin, so it's one thing. It doesn't say Vehayamitzar. It's the same thing. Okay? Give a look in Bak's Gimel. Shimon HaMusani Hayadoresh called Esin Shabbatar. Shimon HaMusani had a thesis, a PhD, that every S in the Torah is coming to include something. You know how many times it says in the Torah the word S? Hundreds. The very first pasuk it says already two. Bereshis bara Elokim, Es HaShamayim, ve'es ha'aretz. Okay. And he went from Sefer Breshis to Shmois to Vayikra to Bamidbar, and he's now in Dvarim, and he's almost going to get his PhD. Kevat she'egia les Hashem Elokei Chatira, when he reached that pasuk, we believe in monotheism. There's only one. Where are you going to include Hashem? Piresh, he withdrew. My thesis is wrong. Piresh. Okay. You know, Zev, if you don't mind, go sit back there with Baruch. We need Baruch to be Shomer Asaf. Shkach, so thanks a lot, Zev. He withdrew. After hundreds of Esim Darshan, he quit. Amalo Talmid of Rebbe, Kol Esim Shedarash Matelen. What's going to be with all the Esim that you were Darish? Amalem Keshem Shkibat Yisrael Latrisha, Kach Kibat Yisrael Latrisha. I'm withdrawing from it, and I'll get reward for it. Ad Shabbat Rebbe Akiva V'Limeid. It's Hashem Elokei Chatira. Yosef, what did he come to say? Come on, be with us. L'Rabba es Talmidei Chachamim. Can you imagine what happened in the Beis Medrash when Rabbi Akiva said that? It's coming from him. It's Hashem Elokei Chatira. Shimon HaMusani, keep on with your drasha. Keep on with your drasha. It's Hashem Elokei Chatira, L'Rabba es Talmidei Chachamim. The fear that we have to Hashem, we extend it to Talmidei Chachamim. Do you know what the Shlach says? That the Asara Aruge Malchus are corresponding to the 10 that participated in the Mechir of Yosef, of the Shvatim. And he makes a cheshbon, each one corresponding to a different Shevet. But there were only 9 that participated. Because Reuben wasn't there, Binyamin wasn't there, and Yosef, he doesn't count. So 12 minus 3 is 9. So where'd you get 10? So Rashi says HaKadosh Baruch Hu joined them. And Rabbi Akiva is representing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rabbi Yochanan HaSefer is Keneged Yisachar. He pairs them up. And Rabbi Akiva is Keneged HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Chalak. Because he said, it's Hashem Elokei Chatira, L'Rabba es Talmidei Chachamim. You see ad Hechan Advarim Magim? It's much no noise. So, what does it mean? It's Hashem Elokei Chatira, L'Rabba es Talmidei Chachamim? Then you got to show fear to Talmidei Chachamim. That means at least to stand up for him. So look what Teresa asks. And backs down. L'Rabba es Talmidei Chachamim. Mipnei Seva Tokum Lamali. So why do I need the pasuk in Seva Tipukei Me'alcha? Meaning, as Hashem Elokei Chatira will make the other pasuk redundant. So it means L'Rabba es Talmidei Chachamim is Doraisa. To the degree it makes another pasuk redundant. And look what it says in the Shulchan Aruch in Baks Dalet. Mitzvahs Eseh, that means Doraisa. Lakum mipnei kol chacham, afilo eino zoken, elionik v'chachim, afilo eino rabo. The mitzvahs Eseh, Rabbi, so you understand? It's mitzvahs Eseh is a mitzvah from the Torah. Rabbi Hagar goes by, you stand up. You become a mitzvah from the Torah. Pila P'laim. So here comes the question. So, if it's a mitzvah from the Torah, how did Baal Machlokes absolve that? Such a kind of word, absolve? Yeah? Very good. How did it's a Chiv D'Oraisa. So Midas, whatever, with all due respect, will absolve a Chiv D'Oraisa? If it would have been a Chiv D'Oraisa, no. It's being nice, so you don't have to be nice to Baal Machlokes. Fine. If it's like showing respect. Okay. But if it's a Chiv D'Oraisa, that someone who's a Baal Torah, you stand up for him, the Baal Machlokes, is he a Baal Torah, yes or no? He is. So why do you stand up for him? Why is it different than a Baal Gav and a Baal Kas? What? I don't know. That's not my question. Okay, I'm not going to it now. That we're taking as a given. I'm not going to go into that question now. How do you judge? That's not the question now. The Seder Gomer. Maybe you could say a Baal Machlokes is a Rasha. And if he's a Rasha, he's for sure not called Tamachachim. And I'll bring you a riot to that. A very non-Mogen Avram in Baksvav. Mogen Avram Simakuf Namasikon Bes. By Yerushalmi. It's going to Yerushalmi. Mutar Lomar Lashon Hara al Baal Machlokes. Wow. There's no Yisur Lashon Hara on someone who has a reputation of being a Baal Machlokes. What does that mean? Then what's a Baal Machlokes? What does that mean? If you could speak about Lashon Hara, what does that mean? What's it together then? On who are you allowed to speak Lashon Hara? Someone's a Russia. Someone with you, a Russia. Give a look at what he said. The Chofetz Chaim paskin it in Bak Zayin. כל זה האיסור של לשון הרע הוא דווקא על איש, על בנתו או אדם בכלל מיסך. דהיינו עם שאיתך בתורה מצווה. Together we keep Torah mitzvahs. אבל אותן אנשים שמכירים שיש בהם אפיקורסוס, מצווה לגנויסם ולבזויסם, והינם בכלל זה שאינם עושים מעשה עמך, what Reb Shlomo just now said. It's a mitzvah to mevazeh. Someone who, now again, the Chofetz Chaim is very careful about not everybody's called a Rasha. Not every Yid is Machal Shabbos and eats treif is called a Rasha. If he's a Tinuk Shenishba, what would you say today? The Frei Yidden today, are they called Tinuk Shenishba? They know about Torah. They live in Eretz Yisrael. What would you say? So there's a Svar of Chazon Ish that they're called Tinuk Shenishba. Why? Not that they don't know the Torah exists. They know. They have next door neighbors who are from. They know. But they think it's not mandatory. It's like Nizirus. If you take it upon yourself, you're chayav. If you don't take it upon yourself, you're potter. It's voluntary. It's not compulsory.
No, they know it is, but choose not to.
They know what it is, but they're not aware that it's a chiyuv.
It is compulsory, but they choose not to.
No, okay. So the Chazon Ish says that they think that it depends on your lifestyle. Ata dati, ani lo dati. So therefore, the Chazon Ish says they're called Tinuk Shenishba. That's what he paskins. Fine. But let's say someone who really does know, and he knows it's compulsory, and he still rejects it, that's called epikurs. But the bottom line is, someone who's a Rasha, there's no Isa Lashon Hara about him. So maybe that's what's going on over here. Abba Machlekes that he fights with people the whole time. It's probably leading to all kinds of Yisurim of Lashon Hara and Rechilas and who knows what. And Ruftzach a Rasha. And since he's called a Rasha, so you're allowed to speak him on Lashon Hara. And therefore, if he's a Rasha, you don't have to stand up for him. You don't have to stand up for a Rasha. So maybe that's what happens in your Baal Machlekes. You're categorized as a Rasha. Well, first I'll prove to you that that's not the case. We're going to see the next Gemara. Rabbi said it's a fascinating Gemara. That little Gemara. I'll just tell you what it's about. When based appoints a shaliach to go to someone's house to take a collateral, to confiscate his car, obviously it won't be a pleasant meeting between this shaliach and the owner of the car. You can imagine. What will be if the owner of the house or the owner of the car was mecharef and megadif the shliach beistin? He cursed them. I don't know, said terrible things. Could the shliach beistin, is he allowed to report back to beistin what transpired between him and this nidoin, or it's lashon hara? Let's look at the Gemara. It's a Gemara, and they learn it from this week's parsha. Minalan in Maxchet. Minalan di'i mitpaka b'shlicha debedina. If he laid it out on the shliach beistin, va'ati va'omar, says Rashi, kolomar shechirev shliach beistin, v'shliach amar chirfani. The shliach report to beistin, he embarrassed me. Lo mitchazik l'shon hara. It's not called l'shon hara. T'chsiv, we learn from this week's parsha. Ha'inei ha'anashim ha'hem tenaker. Dosav Avraham said something nasty about Moshe Rabbeinu to the shaliach, not to Moshe Rabbeinu. But it got back to Moshe Rabbeinu, as we see. Because Moshe Rabbeinu, when he heard it, he said, don't accept their mincha, and so on and so forth. Right? Nachon? How did Moshe Rabbeinu know what transpired between Dosav Avraham and the shaliach? He wasn't there. Muzman Zogin, what do you have to say? The shliach told him. So you see, a shliach can report back what happened. And that's how we learn halacha. It's a maskana. That's how we learn halacha. How did Moshe Rabbeinu know that Dosav Avraham said something like that? Muzman Zogan, that they reported back. Reported back. Now, could you ask a Gavaldik Kasha in this Gemara? In light of what we're learning now. No, the bottom, how do you know the Rishayim? I don't know. The Bali Machlekes that we know about him. If a Bali Machlekes is called the Russia, you're right. But I don't know if they're called the Russia. We'll see soon. That we don't know. But you're getting close. Ask the Magen Avraham. They said you're allowed to speak Lashon Hara about Bali Machlekes. So what does that show? The Bali Machlekes? I guess that's what you meant. Then the Bali Machlekes, if you could speak about him Lashon Hara, that means it's a Russia. So what's your proof that the Shlech basically report back? Maybe he cannot report back, but here was Dosav Avraham, therefore he can report it back. because they're known as Bali Machlokes. But if it's a regular Yid who just a little bit lost his temper, who said you can report back? The Chassam Sofer asked this kasha. It's not written in any of his farm. But there's another sefer that says that the Chassam Sofer told me this. Give a look. In the Talmud of the Chassam Sofer, in Baksiyut, Chavatzer Hashon. Chavatzer Hashon is a young Talmud who lives in Eretz Yisrael. He's younger than me. Kalbach, I forgot his first name. Binyamin? No, Binyamin's the mirror of Shiva. I think it's someone else. But no, okay. Anyway, I'll call name. He went to Gavat Sefer, and he says, B'shut Yuda Yale. That's from Yuda Asad, a Talmud of the Chassam Sofer. Simon Leshem Gimel, Hevi Shach Chassam Sofer Hiksha Lo. The Chassam Sofer asked to him, לפי שמה שכוסף המוגן אברהם סימן קנ"ו, שמותר לומר לשון הרע על בעלי מחלוקת, whatever the reason will be, but you're allowed to say לשון הרע on them, והרי דוסם ואברהם בעלי מחלוקת היו. That's what they're known for. אם כי מן הדין היה מותר לדבר ולקבל להם לשון הרע, ולא משום שהרי בשליח בית דין. הבום בקשה. On the Magen Avraham. The Magen Avraham says that, the way he understood the Yerushalmi, that you're allowed to say Lashon Hara Baal Machlekes. Doesn't Avraham for sure, that's what they're known for, the Baal Machlekes. So of course you're allowed to say Lashon Hara about them. How did you prove from here that a Shliach Beis could say, report back to the Beis Din whatever occurred even on someone else who's not a Baal Machlekes? So who's this kasha directed at? You know, every kasha is like an arrow. Directed at whom? Okay, we're going to start asking a little bit more questions because I want to see the Olam. What? Who is this question directed at? No. It's on the Magen Avraham. The Magen Avraham says that about Machlokes you're allowed to say upon him Lashon Hara. So of course the Shliach Beis could report back to Beis Din what occurred because the Baal Machlokes, but not because the Shliach Beis is allowed to do it. Even if he wouldn't have been a Shliach Beis Din, you're allowed to say Lashon Hara and Dasam Avraham. So I guess the Magen Avraham is wrong. That's what some Sefer wanted to say. I mean, he has a kasha on him. Look how the Chofetz Chaim works it out. Rabbi said, I apologize that there's all kinds of black all over. That was the photocopy machine, but we can still follow. Look what the Chofetz Chaim says in Baksiyut Aleph. V'da, dema sheyesh omim demutar l'saper lashon hara b'alei machlokes. He means the Magen Avraham. דווקא אם הוא רואה שעל ידי שיגלה לפני האנשים את גודל תרמיסם בזה העניין ויראו שאין הדין עמם, מתוך זה תושבס המחלוקס. You're allowed to say Lashon Hara and Baal Machlokes if it will quell the Machlokes. That's the word in English, quell? Yeah. Schreiben, yeah. I'm going to ask you my English word, so get ready. I have another 5 6 coming up. Okay? אבל בלאו הכי אין שום חילוק. Meaning, you know when you're allowed to say Chofetz Chaim? Because of this kasha. What it means you can say Shana Baal Machlokes is if it's a to'eles. Someone's coming to the shul making a lot of problems. And you spread the word, he's a Baal Machlokes, you can ignore him. He's a Baal Machlokes. Ignore him. Then you're allowed to. If it will bring about, it will quiet down the Machlokes. But everybody's going to look at him, okay, he's a troublemaker. Does off. Fine. But if stop to say Lashon Hara Baal Machlokes, it won't quell the Machlokes, you're not allowed to. So what do you think? So what happened with Dasam Aviram? Reporting back to Moshe Rabbeinu that he said, "Ainei anashim einei tenaker." Did that quell the machlokes or increase the machlokes? Increased. Moshe Rabbeinu got so upset. He said, "Don't receive the chelik in the mincha." So that you're not allowed to do. So the Gemara has a good right that was done because there's shliach beis din. Hi, the bali machlokes. What you're allowed to do is about machlokes only if it brings menucha. But obviously that kind of report would not bring menucha to Moshe Rabbeinu. Look what happened. You don't have to be a genius to figure that out in advance. And yet it was done. Because the Shliach basically report back. That's what the Chofetz Chaim says in Baksiyut Bet. Ken kosa begin Rashas Yerushalmi v'zo shanol lashonol bal machlokes ayin Magen Avraham siman kuf nevav v'atam b'zeh kedei lashkit hamachlokes. To quiet down the machlokes. It says the Chofetz Chaim ובזה ניסה שמה ששמעתי מקשה. בהד אומר את השייך בייס יכול להגיד לבייס כל החירופים בזיונס שאמר לו בעל דין והם זה משום לשון הרע והש"ס יוליף למידוסם אבירם ואיך מוכר משם, how did you prove from there? תשאני דוסם אבירם שיהיו בעלי מחלוקס ולפי מה שכתבתי עתי שפיר תשם שיטה שלא היה להגיד תראי, look at the words of the Chofetz Chaim מגדיל המדורה. You know what that means, מגדיל המדורה? Makes the bonfire bigger. That for sure not. What does it come out at the end of the day? So could you say lashon hara on a Baal Machlokes stam? No, you cannot. That means he's out of Russia. That means he's out of Russia. So we're back to our first question. If he's not in Russia, what's that? Why are you allowed to say lashon hara? If he's not, okay. So the Chotzim said to make the Machlokes less. Fine, but what's the heter not to stand up for him if he's not in Russia? If he's called in Russia, okay, you don't stand up for Russia. That's understood, right? Leibovik. But if you say that he's not in Russia, does he know Shas and Poskim? Yes or no? Yeah. So why do you stand up for him? Well, he's a Baal Machlokes, and if he's a Baal Kas, we never heard. A Baal Gaiva, we never heard. I guess Baal Taiva would be a problem because that could be Averis. Okay, so we're back to Russia, right? It's not only Midos. So everybody said, there's something really gewaltig here. What do you think is the direction we're going to take? What happens to Baal Machlokes? Why is he classified worse than a Baal Kas and a Baal Gaiva?
He's with other people. He's stuff with others.
Kas also means with other people. He'll scream on them. That's usually what it means. And Baal Gaiva also probably will end up with other people. What's the direction? In yeshiva, you first have to figure out the direction, and then we'll work it out. But what do you think would be the direction to answer this? What? And if he's about Kas and about Gaiva, he is. I hear the direction, but that has to be explained. That has to be explained. A friend of mine there. Okay? Okay, what we say. So let's start something about Shalom. Let's start about Shalom. Baruch, you don't have to open the door. If someone doesn't knock, so if someone knocks, that means someone else. If someone doesn't knock, so it's okay. The Bnei Chabur know to knock. Good. Look at the Rambam in Bakshid Gimel. A beautiful Rambam that's good to remember. Godel HaShalom. Look what's underlined. The Rambam underlined it, you see? Shekol HaTorah Nitna Lasot Shalom Ba'olam. The Torah was given for the purpose of peace. Shenemar derachea dachinoyam v'chol nesivosea shalom. Torah was given for the purpose of peace. Kol HaTorah Nitna La'asois Shalom Ba'olam. I would have thought Torah was given to it's Yechezkel. It's Yechezkel. I think I see him in the window. Okay. Shalom B'Yechezkel. Yeah, so say that with Usher Chaim and Roshep. Today I'm sorry, I had to bring it up. Torah was given for the sake of peace. No. I would tell you what Torah was given to elevate people. They should be holy. They should be close to Hashem. That's what I would say. What's the purpose of Torah? That's what I would say. For peace. You see the Rambam? It was given for Shalom. So next time when a person wants to get engaged in some kind of machlokes, hey, remember, the whole Torah was given for Shalom. Let's go on. Let's see an unbelievable Gemara in Bakshi Dalit. Oh, we're sharing. Yechezkel, we're sharing. So that was good. Okay, it was good. Rabbi said, give a look at the Gemara Tzvachim. A very famous Gemara. Keshenitna Torah LeYisrael, haya kol ha'ilach misof ha'olam atzoifoi. The noise of Matan Torah was going from one place to another. V'chol malchei oivdei kochavim achazatan ra'atan beichalein. All the kings were shaking in their boots. התקבצו כולם מצביעים למראש ואמרו לו, מה כל ההמון אשר שמענו? What's this noise? Shema Mabul Baloilam? Is it a flood? אמר להם, no. That's not what it is. חמד הטוב יש לבית גנזב, וביקש ליתנה לבונב, שנאמר השם אוי זעמו ייתן. מיד פוסחו ואומרו, השם יבורך את עמו בשלום. The Goyim said about the Jewish people, it's two parts. Hashem oy z'amo yitein. The Kodesh Baruch was giving Torah to the Jewish people, and they replied and said, Hashem Yevorech. So where's the next time you hear the niggin of Kalbach? Hashem Hashem, it's two different sources. Hashem oiz amo yitin, Bilam said. Hashem yivoch amo b'shalom, the Umm said. We say it in one pasuk. Fine. Why did they say in Matan Torah Hashem yivoch amo b'shalom? They understood the Torah is about shalom. Even the Goyim understood it. But first, look at a bracha that we say every day, especially in Shachris. Nusach Sfat says it 3 times a day. Sim shalom, in Bakst as well. Sim shalom, toiva, uvracha, chen, v'chesed, v'rachamim. This is a list of all beautiful things that make peace, that make what's the word for tranquility? Serenity. What's the word? Serenity. Right. Toiras Chaim. Why is Torah mentioned here? Avas, Chesed, Tzedakah, Bracha, Rachmi. I understand. That has to do with Shalom. What's Torah have to do with Shalom? Why is Torah mentioned here in the list of Shalom? What's the answer? Torah is Shalom. The Rambam. Give a look at some medrash in Bakst Zayin. HaTorah kula Shalom. Shenemar dachei adachina v'chol nesivosei Shalom. התפילה חייס ושלום, אומר רבי שמעון חלפתא, אין כלי מחזיק ברכה אלא שלום, שנאמר השם אוהב אמר ייתן השם ברכה ושלום. Now why is Torah shalom? Look at a one-liner of the Maharal in Bakst Zayin. I'm sorry? Yeah? Absolutely, Rabbi. Look, what's it say Bakst Zayin? התורה היא השלום, כי התורה מסדרת את הכל, עד שהכל מסודר, והסדר הוא שלום גמור. You see what the Maharal says? You know why Torah is Shalom? Seder. What does Seder mean? Order. Why is Shalom and order the same thing? You know what machlokes happens? When there are not clear boundaries. It's mine, it's yours. When things get mixed up with each other. What? Disrupt at stage 3. But how does it start? It's not clear who's where. You're stepping on my toes. Good fences. What's the known expression? Good fences make good neighbors. Hasam gvulech shalom. When there's clear boundaries, this is yours, this is mine, everything will be great. When it starts becoming a cholent, it's mine, it's yours, but that's what machlokes happens. When there are not clear-cut zdarim, Torah gives a definition, a geder, to everything, and therefore it's clear-cut. Of course, I can tell you, again, I don't know if it's a good example. I think it is. You know, in Sukkot, you remember Sukkot before the war? You remember there was a world before the war? So, came that Shabbos, and I was a scholar in residence in some hotel, and we got the news from the Goyish workers, the staff in the hotel. They printed for us the internet, the newspapers, and we didn't have a musik what the scope was. They said they took 30 hostages. Well, that's what they thought. It turned out to be much more. Kitzer. Sunday was Simchas Torah. In Chutzar, it's Hakofis. There were 2 machnas. It got divided to 2 groups. The leader of one and the leader of other. I promise you they were about to kill each other. I'm serious. I never saw such a fierce machlokes. And they both meant L'Shem Shema. The argument was, are we going to dance Simchas Torah as usual? Or due to the news coming from Israel, we're going to play low profile? And both felt very strong about their opinions. One said, no, it's Torah. That's what we need now, the schus of Torah. We got to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu how happy we are. Not we're not happy, we're happy with Torah. And that will be a schus for the soldiers and for everyone. The other one said, when Yidden are getting slaughtered like that, you're going to dance? I promise you, if it wouldn't have been, it would lead definitely up to that fist fight. Bili shum safek. It was so heated. They were red in their necks, I promise you. And 2 regular people. Very good people. But they both, what they said, Nebuch, they meant ernst. They really meant it. So what happened was, there was one Israeli there, Dafka Shtigl Rav, and the place we were is called Milano Maritima. It's not called the Yishuv, so there's no Jews there the whole year. So if you're an Israeli there, you don't have to keep Yom Tov Sheni, the halachas. That's halacha. In London, for example, of course you do. Even though you're Israel, because this is the Yishuv Yisrael. Of course. But there you don't. I said, call up my son in Eretz Yisrael. Here's the number. And he called him up. And I told him to tell my son, maybe my son heard my voice as well, ask two G'dalim in Yerushalayim, what should we do? Because we all hear both Tzadim. You can't, don't you hear both Tzadim? You do. He could be right, he could be right. So what to do? So he called him Reb David Cohen, the Rashim of Chevron, and Reb Nosson Kopshitz, who was a big posek in Yerushalayim, and they both told him unequivocally, what's the word?
Unequivocally,
He danced as usual. That's very well. And the schus of Torah should be omed. I came back and I told the other guy, we're dancing as usual. I said, Reb David Cohen and Reb Nosson Kopshitz now get the psak. How do you know? My son called them up. It's for all shows in Chutz La'aretz, but they give it for us. Oh yeah? Okay. Reb David Cohen, Reb Nosson Kopshitz, I'm not finding anymore. So like you saw, once Torah was involved, fine. No more machlokes. Especially they said it for us. Avada pertaining to all shows in the world on that simple Torah. But I'll call upon him and just give you an example. When Torah gives a definition, yes, Yidden are being nebuch shechted. We're not denying it. It's very painful, but they need the schus of Torah. So how do you work it? Okay, that's Torah. Torah gives you a achra, and therefore Torah is about shalom. That's what the Maral says. The boy said, till now we spoke about Torah. Now let's speak about Talmidei Chachamim. Rabbi say, what do you think it is? A Talmid Chacham, finish the sentence. A Talmid Chacham is not only someone who knows Torah, he's not only someone who teaches Torah. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'll tell you. If someone knocks now, we're not going to let him in either. There's a gvul for knocking also. Okay. What is it? What is it about? A Talmid Chacham is not only someone who knows Torah, he's not only someone who teaches Torah, but he's say it. He's a Torah himself. He's a walking Sefer Torah. It's not only what he knows, it's what he is. A Talmid Chacham doesn't have Yeshamayim. It says, I feel like the Shulchan says Kal Shabakali. But a real Reb Chaim Kanevsky is not only someone who knew Torah. Not only he lived Torah, he is Torah. You treat him like a Sefer Torah. I'll show you the halachas about that. First of all, the Maral says this in the Siva Torah and Bakshit Chet, a very known Maral. I remember Moshe Shapir Zatzal, when he came to be Masbid Reb Nachum Partzovich on the Shloshim in the Mir Yeshiva, he quoted this Maral. And I remember the place was packed. Mamish, people climbing out of the windows. Mamish Kipshutai. They went to here, and he's brought afterwards it was a little bit of a joke between the two of us, because he called the Maral there. It wasn't a Maral crowd necessarily. He said, a Maral mi Prague. So I would tell him afterwards, מה פתאום הרב אמר מפראג? מה זה מפראג? אתה צודק. But like we had a joke years later on this. I guess to make it a little bit yeshivish. Miplag. He quoted this Maral. Rabbi said that's exactly the point the Maral says. The Maral says, we'll start with the second paragraph. We'll start from the beginning. It's a mitzvah to know this Maral. Bepeg basut demakas Omar Rava. Kama tipshoi shar inchi. Look how foolish people are, or other people. The mikmei sefer Torah kami. They stand up when a sefer Torah goes by. V'lo kami gaver rabba, but they don't stand up in front of a Talmid Chacham. Shari Torah Omar 40 yakenu. Ba'ato Rabbanu bat tzricha. And Rabbanan said it's 39. Ad kan. What is he coming to say? Ba'al lohodia al ma'alat ha'chacham, says the Maral. Shelo yomar adam. Don't say ki ba'al Torah k'mo shar adam. He's like any other person. Ve'ein shem Torah nikra lav ela adam sheyodea Torah. He's not Torah. He knows Torah. Dovel ze eino. Rak yatam chacham k'mo etzem ha-Torah. What does etzem mean? B'lashon Maral? Intrinsic Torah. He's it. He is Torah. V'yesha dimyon gomor ela Torah. U'komoshe gozer Hashem Yisborach v'nasan HaTorah l'Yisrael, just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu decreed and gave Torah to the Jewish people, kach nosan HaChachamim. He decreed and gave Chachamim to Am Yisrael. From the Tanoim and the Amoraim and the Rishonim and the Achronim till Dain Antroy, Reb Chuneh, Zichronim Levacha, Yibod Lechem Tev, Rav Hagar. It's all a decree of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of having the few and a far part of the Chachamim in each door of the door. It's part of giving over the Torah. Ubeperek Chelek, he proves it, HaMevazah Tam Chacham, the words that called Negal Leponi B'Torah, as if he was Mevazah the Torah. Ki Tam Chacham Hu Etzem HaTorah. And what's the ride that you bring from the 39 and the 40? Okay, well, so that's a little bit, that Ramesh explained in depth there and over there. If Chachamim would have not been equal to Torah, they b'shum oifen couldn't say that 40 means 39. Because 40 is not 39. 40 is not 39. A pipshuta shemikva, 40 is not 39. It says, Arba'im yakenu, and you give 39. The only reason that Chazal could do it, even though they have a drash, is because they're equivalent to Torah. And one pasuk could explain another pasuk. What? Okay, so look at 49 and 50. Come on, say it that way. Good. So boy say, look at him in Fair Shigmar in Baksutet. I promise you're going to fall off your seats. Minalaha, the Gemara asked in a certain town, where do you know this from? You know what he answered? Mitlate koi shmili. Before you see the Rashi, what does mitlate koi? 3 psukim. Look at the Rashi. Mitlate koi. Migimel chachamim gdoilim shem kedai lismoch aleim ka'al mikra. He heard it from 3 other. Rashi had to say it because you look at the Gemara, he quotes another 3 Tanoim. He said, I have 3 psukim that say what I say. Yeah, who are they? Rabbi Yochanan? That's called psukim? Yeah. Mikrai. Okay? Right? The boy say, here comes this to the Quid Chavre. That again, we spoke about it, I'm sure we spoke about it once, but it's so important to know this Yisod. What would you answer, Rabbi Choel? What would you answer if someone will ask you, where is HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the Daf Gemara? What would you answer? I see a lot of rabbis. Tanoim, Amoraim, Rashi. I see Tosfos. I see a lot of rabbis. Where's God? Richard, what would you answer? Where's God in the Daf Gemara? You're right. But what's the answer? Because here's the lesson. You know, the next 3 boxes, Chavre, I promise you was kedai. I'm sure you know it already anyway, but it was kedai for me to come to England just to share these 3 boxes. And then afterwards I could go back. Give a look. Look at the Sefer HaLeshem. Sefer HaLeshem is the grandson of the grandfather. Sorry. The grandfather of Rabbi Yoshim. In box Kaf Aleph, on page 3. Ha'ika mechuyev l'kol mi asher b'shem Yisrael yichuneh. Mamish kedai to look inside this one. Mamish. The principle that anybody who's called a Yid should believe in. La'amin be'emuna shlema. Shekol ma shenimtza b'divrei Chazal, b'halachas, b'hagadatas, b'shas, u'midrashim, hem kulam divrei Elokim chaim. Kol ma she'omru hu b'ruach Hashem asher diber bam. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaking through them. U'misod Hashem le'erev. וכמו שמציעים בגזרת בלי בריה, שגם בעניין שאינו נוגע להלכה למעשה כלל, ושאלה הגמרא על רב נחמן ולא ידע, והייתה התשובה שם, מסוד השם לערב. It was a medical question. A certain kind of pain in the foot. You know what it is when you have it on the bottom of your foot? It's like so painful, like how is it called in English? No, not that. A pain on the bottom of the foot. There's a word for it. Whatever it is. And Rav Nachman said, what is it? And Rav Nachman defined medically what it means. So Rav says, how do you know? How do you know about medicine? You know what the answer? So Hashem Nereyav. What? Yeah, the Chazanish for the doctors, right? Yeah, he didn't do the operation. And it's all Hashem speaking through them. That's the lesson. He says anybody who's called a Yid has to believe that. Look what the Reb Tzadok says in Baks Kabet. Torah Shebeksav and Torah Shebepes compared to. Let me ask you a question. Where does the rain come from?
Clouds.
Where? Clouds from Shemayim. Where does the dew come from? The dew. Where's it come from? I see it on the car every morning in my window. Where's it come from? Do you know what also comes from Shemayim? 100%. Exactly like rain. It comes from the Shemayim. But in rain, you see how it's coming from the Shemayim. What? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that pasuk don't get us. But Tal comes from Shemayim. It says, but it appears as if it's coming from the Haaretz, because you only see it once it lands. It says from Tzadok Kohen that's exactly parallel to Torah Sheb'Ksav and Torah Sheb'Al Peh. Torah Sheb'Ksav you see it's Dvar Hashem, by the Ber Hashem. Torah Sheb'Al Peh, Rava Abaye, it seems they're talking from their hearts. It's also Dvar Hashem, but it's compared to Tal, to Dew. That when it reaches down here, you see it, but it's coming from there as well. That's what he says. And Rabbi say there's just one Gemara that I'm sorry that we skipped the Bach Schaf on page 2. Let's just go back a second to page 2. That last box over there. Keshechola Rabbi Lezer nichnasu talmidav levakor. Hitchilu boichim. They started crying. They saw how ill he was. Amru lo efsha sefer Torah sharui b'tzar v'lo nifke. How they call their Rebbe? A sefer Torah sharui b'tzar. So again, it's not anybody who has a beard, but it means someone who's called a Talmud Chacham is called a walking Sefer Torah. And you stand up in front of him because he's a Sefer Torah. And he's called like a pasuk. Look what the Chazon Ish says in Bach Kav Gimel, just 2 lines. Hashgachato yizborach b'chol dor v'dor. Because Baruch has special divine providence. Ala yichidim, on these individuals. Sheshotlam b'chol dor. He planted them in each generation. Lo'orot chukav u'mishpatav le'Yisrael. When these Gdolim learn Torah, they're like angels. A divine spirit is on them. Rabbi said it's really a Ramban. Look at Bakskavdat, Chacham Adif Binavi. Avapi Shenitna Torah, says the Ramban of Bakskavei. Avapi Shenitna Nevuah. Sorry, Shu Amar Bachazon. Nevuah Sachachamim. Look at those 2 words. Nevuah Sachachamim. What does that mean? Nevuah Sachachamim. The prophecy of Chachamim. Shibedech Chachama lo nitla. Ela yoidim ha'emes beruach hakodesh bekirban. It's the same ruach hakodesh in Yeshayahu and Yirmiyahu, but it comes from inside.
But if they were chosen to be Chachamim, that not everybody can be.
100%. It's only Chachamim. Give a look at Max Kavav. Amar Abelazar Amar Chanina Talmidei Chachamim Ar Mishalom Ba'olam Shenemar B'chol Banach Lemudei Hashem Rav Shlom Banach Ad Yik Banach Banach Hashem Razam Oiten Hashem Razam B'Shalom. Rabbi say, can anybody now answer why Baal Machlokes is so he doesn't get any covet? He's out of Russia. He's out of Russia. You know how to say about Moshe, which is not productive. So that means he's out of Russia. He's an imperfect yid. Okay? Yeah, and Yas Hashem will become perfect. But the Vaila is an imperfect yid if he's a Baal Machlokes, a Baal Kas, and a Baal Gaiba. But nevertheless, what's the chilek? Rabbi said, look what the Maral says in the Siv Emes Pel Gimel. B'Medrash, B'Sha'ah Shebara Kodesh Baruch Hu Nivro Yasa Adam Rishon, when Kodesh Baruch Hu wanted to create man, Nasu Malach Hasharas Kitim, the Chaburs, they got divided into a variety of groups. Mehem Omrim Al Yibara, some say you should not create him. Mehem Omrim Yibara. Shalom Omer Al Yibara. The Kulei Ktata. The whole day he fights with people. Kulei Ktata. What does Ktata mean in English? Argumental. Yeah, no, don't create him. Makara. Ma'asa Kodesh Baruch Hu Notel Emes, the Torah, v'yishichol haaretz. רוצה לומר שנוסן, Baruch, it's okay, Baruch. Okay, Rav Kaduri, we're so happy to see you. How do you know it's Rav Kaduri? Kol hakavod. Kol hakavod. The Pashup Shah of that Medrash is, what do we say? What's the Pashup Shah? The Pashup Shah of the Gemara is, HaKadosh Baruch Hu fifed on Shalom and still created man. You know how the Maral wins the Gemara? The Medrash? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Torah, and now he won't be a Baal Ktata. Without Torah, he's a big Baal Ktata. But I'm going to give him Torah. That's a remedy for the Ktata. That's what the Maral learns it. Dover ze kasher ein beim Torah. What's underlined? Ama yedei Torah dachia dachino v'chol usim v'shalom. ולפי כאשר ניתן תורה להם שוב אין קיטרוק מן השלום. It's not that Kodesh Baruch Hu is fighting on Shalom. There's no more kitruk. Torah makes that there's no machlokes. So what happens if someone's a Baal machlokes? What does that show? He doesn't have he's not a Baal Torah. Not because he's a Russia. But Russia means he knows Torah, but a Russia outbalances that. Right. If he's a Baal Gaiva or a Baal Kas, he's imperfect, but he still has Torah. But if he's a Baal machlokes, that means Torah is, then he became Torah. He's not. Torah is all about Shalom. It undermines what it's an oxymoron to be a Baal Torah and a Baal machlokes. It's not just imperfectness, or imperfection. It's oxymoron. Rabbi said, look at the words Shalom and machlokes. The words themselves show it. What does the word Shalom mean? Where does it come from? Shalom. Shleimus. Where does the word machlokes come from? Chelek. What does chelek mean? A division. The opposite of shleimus. Shalom and machlokes are exact opposites. Like Ava and Sin are opposites. Shalom and machlokes. The Torah is all about Shalom, as we saw. The Lashon of the Rambam, Kol HaTorah Nitna. What was the Lashon there that I said to know by heart and I don't know by heart? Shekol HaTorah Nitna la'aseh Shalom ba'olam. Torah is about Shalom. Someone who's about machlokes, that means he's not about Torah. It's a knowledge. You can't take it away from him. But it didn't how, in Yiddish it works out good, Rabbi Yom, I'm going to need your help for this one. So someone came and told the Kotzker Rebbe about machlokes. He learned Kol HaTorah Kula. And he asked, and what did the Torah learn him? Something like that. In Yiddish it works. Dichos. Meaning he learned Torah, but what did the Torah learn him? Mashkazeh. Meaning, did the Torah have ashpah on him? Yeah. So listen, for sure, again, someone who's a real tzaddik, of course he shouldn't be a Baal Kas and shouldn't be a Baal Gava either. But that means he's imperfect. It's not a pircha on the whole Torah. Baal machlokes is a pircha. Because it's pushing opposites, and you can't have opposites together. What's the Lashon? Ein ha'afachim dalim b'kfir. No, what's the Lashon of the Maral? No. Ein shnei ha'afachim b'nois ha'echad. That's what he says. You can't have opposites in one. You just can't. You can have one here and one there, but you can't have the one together. To be a Baal Torah, to be a Baal machlokes, it's mufka minei ubei. So let's go back to the Gemara and Gittin. They didn't stand up for him because he's a Baal machlokes. We want to understand. So let's just go over b'ktzara what we learned today. We went through the process. You see, the Gemara says you don't stand up for Baal machlokes. How he knows Torah? You don't stand up for him. The Rishonim passing like that. It's a Gemara. Other bad midas if he has. We didn't find this. It was said when he's a Baal machlokes. Why? So the first attempt was to say maybe he's a Russia. And we got a ride from the Magen Avraham, because what did the Magen Avraham say? Come on, no. What did the Magen Avraham say? I'm going to make a machlokes now. What did the Magen Avraham say? What was the chiddush of the Magen Avraham? You could say Lashon Hara about machlokes. Tremendous chiddush. You quote Yerushalmi. I looked at Yerushalmi. I didn't understand 100% what it says there. So I got to look it up again. But he says, you're allowed to say Lashon Hara about machlokes, which seems that he's a Russia. But then came this Gevaldik Kasha from the Gemara Moed Katan. Who would like to say the Kasha from the Gemara Moed Katan that undermines this open check? The Gemara Moed Katan says that a Shaliach basically that the Baal Din was Mevazeh him. He's allowed to report back to Beis Din what occurred. It's not called Lashon Hara. Where do we know it from? They said on Moshe Rabbeinu, Haineh Anashim Eile Tenaker, to a Shaliach, because it says Moshe Rabbeinu Vayishlach. And Moshe Rabbeinu knew about it. How do you know about it? A shliach told him. If you're going to say that you're allowed to say Lashon Hara about machlokes, maybe that's how come the shliach was allowed to report back. Because it was Dasam Aviram, Bali machlokes. But not because the shliach based is allowed to report back. So what's your source? Who asks this kasha? Nechsam Sefer. Who brings in the name of Nechsam Sefer? Very good, Baruch. Comes the Chofetz Chaim and as a result of that learns, no. What it says you're allowed to say Lashon Hara about machlokes if it's going to quell the machlokes. That's what it means you're allowed to do it. it will mashbis the machlokes. But if it won't, on the contrary, it will increase the machlokes. You're not allowed to. This ha'inem nashim el tenaka is going to increase the machlokes. So what? To some degree, or maybe that's what the Magen Avraham meant. It could be, but this Magen Avraham is a big chiddush, and according to Chofetz Chaim, because of this kasha, the Chofetz Chaim writes that. So he's not a Rasha. So then, what is the heter to not stand up for someone who? It's a deraisa. We proved that it's deraisa to stand up. The Shulchan Aruch says mitzvahs eseh lokal bifnei kol chacham. Afilu ein lo zaken. So mitzvahs eseh means deraisa. That's what mitzvahs eseh means. So if it's a chiyuv deraisa, what undermines a chiyuv deraisa? Something could outweigh a deraisa? That's very hard to say. A deraisa weighs 1,000,000 tons. You're going to find something that weighs 1,000,001 tons? Lo yachol liyot. But what did we come up with? It's not outweighing it. Rather, it means he doesn't have Torah. That's what it means. You respect the Talmid Chacham because he's about Torah. But apparently he's not called about Torah. Because Torah is all about Shalom. And as we saw, and then we're all defined why it's about Shalom, because it gives Gedarim and boundaries for everything. This is this is that, this is that. Seder. You know, in Hebrew, when you want to say everything's okay, you say Hakol Beseder. Isn't that a funny way to say it? I think it comes from German, I think. Like Hakol Beseder? But my kisher. How are you doing? Everything in order. Is that an answer? Why is that an answer? How are you doing? Good. Not good. Everything is in order. In Hebrew, it's an answer. I don't think in English is that an answer? No, it would be strange if someone would answer that. All good. Good to answer. But order?
Everything is right.
Everything's right. But in Lashon Chazal, Seder means everything's right. Everything's good. Everything's Shalom. You know that holy night is called Leil HaSeder. There's something about it. Seder means Hakol B'Seder. Was it? You know what? One of the Balei Musar, who was it? They came to visit his son, checked his room, and saw his cupboard was order, so he went home. You heard that story, Chavle? Yeah. On who did they say it? I think the Sabbath from Kellam, the Alta from Kellam. He didn't come. He didn't say hello to his son. He came to his room. Saw was neat, Masudar. That means everything is okay. And went home. Okay, Rabbi say. So that the Kuda, and then we came up. So that's what it means. So Dasav Aviram are known as Baalei Machlokes. That was a kasha. I'm sorry. But we came up with the chiddush of the Maram, the Sibat Amaram Miprog. Again, what the Maram Miprog Mechanish? Today the Olam is Mamshul Gevaldik. What the Maram Miprog Mechanish? A Talmid Chacham is not someone who knows Torah. A Talmid Chacham is not someone who's Mabitz Torah. A Talmid Chacham is not even someone who lives Torah. He is Torah. He's a walking Sefer Torah. Of course, if you think about it, it has to be that. Because we go and ask Talmidei Chachamim all kinds of questions in halacha and in life that there's no reason in the world they should know better than you do. Business. Reb Chaim Kanevsky studied business? What are you asking him for? What's the shot? You ask Shidduchim Reb Chaim Kanevsky, you know how his Shidduch went? I don't know for a fact, but I'm sure his father spoke to Rabbi Yoshev. He said it 2 seconds. So you're going to ask him about Shidduchim. Why should he know better than you? Because we believe that a Chacham is HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaking through him. So now also HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaking. If I could have asked the Sefer Torah, I would have asked the Sefer Torah. All my questions. So I asked someone who's a walking Sefer Torah. But why don't we follow his answers? Because we feel that whatever comes out of his mouth is Dvar Hashem. That's what we feel. Rabbi said, just to end, if you have to go, no problem. Call Yisrael. 100%. I want to tell you, I was once sitting in a wedding next to Rabbi Avram Guvitz. Rabbi Avram Guvitz is a quiet man. A gadol, quiet. But he told me a whole story. I was surprised. And then I was a little bit younger, so my hearing was a little bit better. But okay, whatever you decide. But he told me the following story: that his father, Reb Leib, got engaged to the daughter of the Beli Lapin, and the Lapians already lived in England. Then already, it was the early 30s, and the the agreement was clearly stipulated. After the Chassid, we're living in Lita. In Lithuania. In Lita. In England, Shvachamaisis. Nebuch, the mother of the Kala, was Nifter during the engagement time. And the Kala was the oldest child in the whole family, out of 10, 11 children. She wrote back to Reb Leib, she says, there's no way I could come to Lita. I just can't. I mean, I'm going to get married, but I have to keep an eye on what's happening in the house. I'm now the young mother. I know I'm not living up to our agreement, and you have 100% reshus to cancel the shidduch. I'm the one that's not living up to our agreement. You have 100% reshus to it. He got the letter, and he went to Rabbi Yucham Alevi and said, what should I do? Michad Gisa, I want to learn Lita, and there's nothing in England. Midach Gisa, it's a daughter of Eli Pian, and I Yisayma. Ma'osim. So Rabbi Yucham said, I don't know, but why are you asking me? The Chofetz Chaim's here. It was 2 years when the Chofetz Chaim was left there. Go ask the Chofetz Chaim. So Rabbi Leib went to the Chofetz Chaim, and he had to scream the question, the Chofetz Chaim heard it. And the Chofetz Chaim answered the following. Baruch she'amar v'ayoylam. Baruch hu. Baruch ha'im v'aisa. Baruch yezem b'kam. Baruch malchem al-ha'aretz. Baruch malchem al-abriyas. Baruch mishlam s'char tov le'yav. Baruch chai lo'ad v'kam v'netzach. Baruch poido v'matzil. So Reb Leib mustered the courage and said, could the Rav explain to me what he's saying? I want to understand. He repeated again the Baruch she'amar. And he went back to the Rabbi Yucham. Rabbi Yucham said, no, what the Chofetz Chaim said. He said, Baruch she'amar til poido v'matzil. So why did you ask him what he meant? I said, I asked him. So what happened then? He said again, Baruch she'amar. So Rabbi Yucham said, so why did you ask him again what he meant? Ask him till you get a clear psak. So he told him, listen, I'm 22 years old. He's the Chofetz Chaim. I asked him twice. You know what, probably if I asked the third time, we'll say the third time, Baruch she'amar. So he told me, you're right. You're right. I hear you. I don't know exactly what he means, but I think he's saying you should go to England. Yeah? Yeah. And he went to England. Then a few years later happened the Shoah, and his whole family was wiped out like all other Yidden. And they understood what the Chofetz Chaim meant. Put no matzah. Redeem and save. This is what Avram Gurvitz told me. I asked Avram Gurvitz then on the spot, did your father and others treat the Chofetz Chaim mamash like a Navi? He says, absolutely. Look, my father, whatever came out of his mouth was Dvar Hashem. That's how we treated it. Now he got confused, he's an old man, shtusim. It's Hashem talking through him. What did he mean? Well, we don't know. So now, my friend, we think we do know what he meant. Maybe the Chofetz Chaim himself didn't know what he was saying. Could be. Like, Yoda v'lo yoda mashaniba. Yeah, very possible. But he told me Farish, and he's a Litvish Rosh Hashanah. He was Nusach Ashkenaz. They treated him like a Navi, without any suffix. I remember when he told me. It was about 8 years ago. So you see that there are some, again, we're speaking about those kind of people, that whatever comes out of their mouth is Baal Hashem. Nisaka Mepi HaShalit. Rabbi said we should all be Zoichet Emetz Hashem. Should be a good week for Am Yisrael. And, yeah. Yeah, okay. אני חושב שאני רוצה לקנות מנגו אחד. מנגו, אני אתן לך כסף. אתה התפלת מהר כבר? או, מצוין.